Welcome to the Luke Lens YouTube channel. If you're watching this video about direct ads and you currently have a direct ads team hired, this is why they're likely scamming you. So over the past 5 years, I've invested over $200,000 on direct ads agencies, on direct ads consulting, and then on running our own direct ads through courses that we purchased. And throughout that time, we've spent millions of dollars on direct ad spend. And in this video, I'm really just trying to give as much value as possible, A to Z, how to run a successful direct ads campaign. And I just want to make it extremely clear, if you've never seen me or a company before, I do not run a direct ads agency. We do not run direct ads for our clients. You might be asking yourself as well, nothing is free in life. And so where's the catch here? The catch is ultimately, I'm trying to bring in as much business owners as possible into our network to be able to give as much value as possible so that we can create trust. And then hopefully, once you get to a level of business where you're starting to look into growing your brand, growing your social media following, getting high level press features, that you would look at the company that we run, which is called High Key. And so we're public relations firms that works with top industry leaders, primarily real estate, lawyers, some cosmetic surgeons, and a various other industries, but only really the top performers who are trying to become the number one in their industry. So all that talking aside, let's get right into it. Let's jump over to the screen. This is basically A to Z TikTok ads account. We're going to go through the first component, which is basically setting up the TikTok ads account. So everything that you need to know about setting up the account, setting up automation with the account, connecting with the CRM, everything A to Z. And then we're going to go through more of the ads creative side of things in terms of what types of ads creative to run, and then how to test out ads creative effectively. Then we're going to get into the best types of campaigns to run. So actually going through the process of setting up a campaign, and then based off of the business that you're running, how you can most effectively do it. And then we're going to wrap it all off with some of the best tips that I've used and implemented that are actually working right now and will probably be working for the next several years, just because they're kind of timeless. All right, step number one is setting up your TikTok ads account. So I'm going to be looking over at my screen right now so that I can go through this with you. But first one is actually setting up your TikTok ads accounts. Where you're going to need to go to is on Google. You just want to search up TikTok Ads Manager. And then you're going to want to go to this first link, TikTok Ads Manager. And now I'm on this page, but all it'll be a login or sign up section. And so basically you want to just sign up for this. A key thing is when you sign up, it's going to ask for an address. And what we found is you want to put a USA-based address. Normally, it's just easier to get approved. And then what you're doing is you're basically creating a business center first, that you're able to go into your business center. And then once you access your business center, then you can create an ad account from that. So basically, a business center is an overarching basically business center this is across all ads management platforms, and then you can create ads managers underneath that. And so for example, if I go here into advertiser accounts, some of this stuff is going to be blurred, so just keep that in mind. But when you go into advertiser accounts, then you can create a new advertiser account when you're initially in here. And then how you access the ads manager is by clicking right here. Now, usually you're going to be adding funds and adding credit card details to your business center, and then you can add those funds to your ads manager. But now we're going to go into ads manager right here, and we're going to go into the first key things that you need to be setting up immediately. So first off is going to the event section, because we're needing to set up a pixel tracking for your website. So this is usually what I set up first. And this is basically capturing all of the data and cookies of every single person who visits your website. It's fairly easy to set up, and you just got to go to Tools, Events, and then you go to Web Events right here. And so this is basically what it's doing is if somebody has a TikTok ads account and they visit, someone has a TikTok user account and they visit your website, this will capture their data and basically allow you to retarget them when you put them in a custom audience, and then we create a campaign later on. So I'm saying a lot of stuff that will be confusing, but you can just ride along, because I need to talk extremely fast so we can get through this as fast as possible. So you want to create pixel right here in the events manager. And then you can go through partner setup or manual setup. I would highly suggest that if you have a Shopify account, you go through partner setup because you can do it in 2 simple steps. I'll just quickly go through it, but all of these are partner setups. Most people use Shopify. And so if you go to Shopify right here, and you click next, and then all you gotta do is open Shopify app and it'll take you through the instructions there. Super easy. Manual setup is a bit more hard. I'll just do test pixel right now. And this is if you have like a WordPress account, Squarespace account, and it just automatically created the pixel. And then now you got added event list. So usually I would say, hopefully you have a developer on your team that you can just share this info with to basically add it to your website if you're not using a simplified website like Shopify. And basically what you're doing here is you're adding in this information. For service-based businesses, most of the time we just do view content, which is basically like somebody clicking on your website, which is the main thing that you need for basic level retargeting. But I'm not going to go too thoroughly into this because you can just watch a full other YouTube video specifically about how to set up your pixel. And then the next thing is we're going to look at Zapier, which is basically one of the best softwares out there. If you don't know what Zapier is, basically it connects any 2 softwares together to speak with one another that normally wouldn't. So for example, you probably have a CRM account, customer relationships management account, which connects, which is basically storing all of your customers' information. And so what Zapier is going to do is it's going to connect your TikTok ads account with your CRM. Now, for simplified purposes, I'm just going to assume you're using Go High Level CRM, but you could use any CRM. That's HubSpot, Salesforce, any single one that you currently have. Go High Level is just what we use, what we see a lot of our clients use. It's so much customization is available on Go High Level and very affordable. You can have unlimited users on it. You can text on it, email. It's a really good software. So we're going to go into Zapier for the main thing of connecting TikTok with Zapier and then connecting Go High Level with Zapier. Because when we create a campaign, we're going to be capturing people's data, mainly for a service-based business, capturing people's information through a lead generation form, and then taking that information over to Go High Level. So we have that forever, where we can set up automations, we can retarget those people through text messaging, emailing, and then we can have a sales team call those people immediately afterwards, and then a ton of other things like scheduling meetings and stuff. So what you want to do is when you go over to Zapier, you want to create an account, very simple. And then the first thing is you want to go over to apps. And so this apps is basically where you're connecting the apps from various softwares, where you're going to create connections afterwards for them to speak to one another. Now, you might want to watch a fully separate tutorial video about Zapier because we can get pretty complex here, but I'm going to go over the broad overview where you can use this to immediately implement. So if we go to TikTok lead generation, you can connect this right here, which is the main thing that we're going to be going over shortly, is the lead generation component of TikTok ads. And if you're signed in currently on the same browser as TikTok, the thing with Zapier is it's amazing. It'll immediately connect you with this. Otherwise, you just got to put in your TikTok account information and then you're confirming. And then once that's connected, so I'll just connect this right here. Once that's connected, then we're going to connect the CRM afterwards. So I'm just going to confirm that. Authorize success. Okay, so now TikTok lead generation is connected, which is sick because we're going to be going back into this after we set up the campaign. Next up, we're going to want to add a connection. See, we gotta go back to my apps, add connection, and it might not come up as Go High Level, it might come up as lead connector. That's something that you need to know, is that sometimes your CRM doesn't come up as the exact name of the CRM. And so you should do some research before that if you aren't using a traditional one. But Lead Connector is the same as Go High Level. And so this isn't pulling up our Go High Level account because I'm not logged into Go High Level on this specific browser. But if you are logged into your Go High Level account on this specific browser, then all you have to do is confirm, just like we did on the TikTok side of things. But I'm not going to go too far into this. Basically, you just want to copy over your API key, which is in the settings section of Go High Level, and then set this up. Then you'll have basically TikTok and Go High Level set up in here, and then that's good for the starting automation with that. So now up until this point, you have your pixel set up on your website. You have the CRM set up in Zapier, Go High Level connected, and then you have TikTok connected in Zapier. So now we're going to go into running the initial campaign and the things needed to run the initial campaign in TikTok. So we're specifically going to be focusing on lead generation campaigns, because I found with service-based businesses, the absolute best thing with in terms of capturing people's information is a lead generation campaign, because people fill in a form directly on TikTok ads. Facebook has that as well, where people fill in a form directly on Facebook ads where you capture their information. And then if they don't do anything else after that, you have their information that you can retarget forever. Your team can call them, and your team can text message, email them. And so you get the lowest cost per contact's information. And we found it extremely successful to be able to, the main goal of service-based businesses is usually to get the person on a call, and you get the most bang for your buck when you do lead generation campaigns as a service-based business. So we're going to go to Instant Page, which is basically creating the lead generation form that people have to fill out. And then once we have the Instant Page created, then we're going to go create a campaign. So in Instant Pages, you go over here and then you create an Instant Page. And then you can either go with one of the templates that comes up. I usually like to start from scratch, because usually the templates that they have aren't the best. This is one that I found does really good. If you are going to use a template, is just a classic form. You don't want to get fancy with this, simple scales. And so you want to go with something that is as least confusing as possible for the prospect. Something to keep in mind when you're creating lead generation forms and when you're trying to capture information for the lowest cost, you have to understand that the amount of questions that you put on the lead in form is inversely proportional with the amount of leads that you're going to generate. And so the more questions that you put, potentially the more quality of leads that you're going to get, but also the less amount of leads that are going to come in, which is just standard. It's common sense. You know, as friction increases in terms of people having to fill in more information, less leads are going to come in. And so, for example, for us, when we run TikTok ads, we're only looking for the industry leaders. And so, yes, industry leaders do use TikTok. And so you are able to target industry leaders with TikTok ads. But something that we found is we need to find the balance between asking enough questions where only quality leads are coming through, but not asking too many questions where quality leads don't want to fill it in because it's too much work for them. And so this is where testing comes into place. What we personally use is about 6 qualifying questions on the lead in form, where we found that's a good balance of getting really quality leads in, and then also like not decreasing our overall numbers because we're asking too many questions. But in here, more volume is good. Higher intent, this is specifically usually for product-based businesses, because this is using TikTok's data if people have higher intent in terms of their purchasing decision. So TikTok obviously has a ton of data, but they usually collect data from people who make very large purchases or make purchases after clicking on ads on TikTok. And so this doesn't really make that much sense for service-based businesses. So in here, you want to make an introduction, compelling. For us, we would put high key agency, and then we want to put one tagline where this headline should directly correlate with your ad creative. So whatever your main offer is in the video, you want to correlate it with this specific headline. So ours was something about want to be featured in national level publications. And then you're going down to your questions here, and you want to add a logo here. So add your specific logo, and you can add a background image as well if you're going to do that. So questions, this is where you're going to ask about 6 questions. This is where all of this information, we're going to be later going into Zapier and connecting this information after we create that ads campaign and all of this, and connecting this information where when people fill out this form, then it's going to go directly to your CRM. So I'm not going to go too much into this. You got to put your website's privacy link, obviously, and then the thank you screen. This is a huge component where we put thank you for your response, time to complete step number 2 of booking a time with a press executive. So this is where after you fill in the lead generation form, you obviously want to take them to a next page. And that next page is, if you're a service-based business, is booking a call directly on your team's calendar. Usually you want to use Calendly so that you can set up a really good round robin calendar, and you can direct people from this directly over to your round robin calendar, Calendly. And so the button text should be book a call with a press executive. And then this website URL should be your Calendly. Now, ideally, you have a Calendly round robin set up and added on a page of your website with like case studies underneath it and stuff. And then you use that link here, because what will happen with that is then you can put an events tracking on your pixel directly to that page on the website. So then it will showcase when people click and fill in the Calendly. Another thing is you can add to TikTok a pixel connected to your Calendly account, and then it'll tell you when somebody books on that specific calendar, which is huge to know. Let me see if I can. I'm just going to complete this real quick so that. Let's see, question. So I'm just going to take this out for now, just so I can complete this really quick, because I might need to use this when we create the campaign. Okay, now it's time for the fun stuff. This is the actual creating of the campaign. So this is where you're going to get an absolute ton of value. I'm going to go through this really fast. So you're going to want to stop it, probably rewatch it. But basically, you're going to the campaign side of things. You're creating the campaign. You can go into simplified mode. I'm going to go into custom mode for this so I can give you as much value as possible. But when I go into custom mode, it's going to first take me through all of the different aspects. So I have to get you to understand this. So how ads platforms are broken out, it's the same across all ads platforms. It goes campaign, ad set or ad group, and then ad creative. And so basically what it is the campaign is the huge umbrella in terms of what is the overarching objective of all of the ad sets and ad creatives underneath that one campaign. So in this, we're going to go through lead generation as the one campaign. That's the overarching umbrella. And so we're going to click that. I'm going to click test. And then the ad group is basically all of the targeting settings that we're targeting our specific demographic of people, and that all of the ad creatives underneath that specific ad group are targeting. So in this ad group, I'm not going to go through anything in particular. I'm just going to show you broad overview of each section, just so that you can have a full understanding of what would be best suited for you in terms of targeting, and you can go right to it. So optimization location, we're going to put instant form because that's the instant form that we just created on TikTok ads. We're going to go advanced search here. So this is a huge thing, is user comments, video share, and video download. This is on all of the ad creatives under this ad group. Will those ad creatives allowed to be downloaded, shared, and comment? So one thing that we found is the comment section is unbelievable if you have really good creative. Now, if you run a very high value offer in terms of what we do, where we're only going after the top 0.0001% of industry leaders, there's a lot of people on TikTok that are going to be seeing those ads and that it doesn't apply to them. And so those people are inevitably going to stir up hate in the comments, going to pick apart the video, and it's not good having a TikTok video with a ton of hate comments on it. So for high value service-based businesses, I would suggest turning off the user comments, even though it's going to minimally decrease the performance of the ads. Now, if you run a product-based business to a wide demographic, or a service-based business, maybe B2C, where it's a really large demographic, I would highly suggest keep these user comments on. And then we're going to talk about later on, huge tip in terms of repurposing those user comments into new content, where basically you're able to reply to those comments with a video, and then reply to those comments directly in the ads manager, so that you can curate basically the conversations you want to be having. So we're going to turn that off for now. We're going to go down here, and we're going to go down to custom retargeting. General rule of thumb is with things like automatic retargeting and audience expansion, you never want to have on. Usually TikTok, Facebook, all these platforms will spend your money worse than what you could do if you just have more knowledge of the platform. So if we go a location, most businesses that we work with are United States based, and so they only really want to target United States based locations. And so we're going to have United States here. Languages is going to be all. Sometimes you want to only do English specific, because we're usually, depending upon the offer, you're trying to get as narrow as possible, ideally. Male, female, this is if you have a more male or female dominated product, or sometimes you want to run a male specific ad set where all of the ad creatives under that ad set are videos specifically talking to male people, which can have grossly outsized returns, because then you're being hyper specific with the person you're talking to in the camera. Next is age. This is a huge one, is that, remember, TikTok, there's still a large portion of Gen Zs and the younger generation on TikTok, and normally people lie about their age, where anywhere from 10 to 18-year-olds are just putting anywhere above 18 to basically showcase that they're okay to use the platform. Otherwise, they wouldn't be allowed on TikTok. So normally, all the time, I remove 18 to 24 all the time off of any ads that we're running. And then most of the time, I'm removing 55 plus and keeping the rest. So this spending power is similar to something that I was talking about with the lead generation form, but this is all based off of TikTok's data that they've collected throughout all their users, in terms of if one particular user is expected to spend more if they click on a particular ad, and that's usually based off of product-based businesses. So if you run a product-based business and you have a higher ticket product, I would highly suggest putting on high spending power. Otherwise, I wouldn't do that. Household income is a really sick one. If you're running a service-based business across the US, you're going to be paying higher CPMs if you use this. But for us particular, we always do top 5% or top 10% zip codes, because then you're targeting places like the major places in California, New York, Miami, people with larger budgets that they can spend because they're trying to compete nationally and through their very hardcore markets. So usually we do this for ourselves since we're targeting higher value customers. And then this is an inclusion audience or excluding audience. This is based off of custom audiences. So I'm not going to go through this as much because when you're just getting started, you don't need to have this involved at all, because this gets more into like retargeting, and a lot of including excluding audiences are more particular with product-based businesses where you're getting really particular with top of funnel. So for example, leads coming in cold and then going through the pipeline of basically retargeting as people click the website, retargeting as people click add to cart, retargeting people that did checkout that didn't pay. When you're doing tons of volume, you want to get really particular with the inclusion and exclusion audience, but for service-based businesses, you don't really need to pay attention to this. Interests and behaviors. So TikTok is different than Facebook ads, and I'm going to create a whole nother series specifically on Facebook ads. And if you want to see another video specifically on Facebook ads, make sure to comment below. Would love to hear if you're at this point in the video. I don't even know if people are going to be watching this, but if you are, you're probably getting a ton of value because this is millions of dollars worth of value here. But in interests and behaviors, I found with TikTok ads, interests and behaviors are actually the best way to target your exact ideal type of person. In comparison to Facebook ads, the number one way to create the perfect audiences is by uploading a leads list and then creating a lookalike audience from that. And I'll go into that with the Facebook ad side of things. But in TikTok ads, they don't have it as dialed in right now with the audiences of adding a custom audience and then creating a lookalike audience from that. But if you're watching this video in the future, TikTok has probably updated their section of audiences where you can upload a leads file to custom audiences and they'll match it with TikTok users and then creating a lookalike audience from that and then putting that in the inclusion here of a custom audience right here. It'll show up here. And you would create the custom audience in the audience manager section. But that's by far the best performing on Facebook ads. So if that happens in the future in TikTok ads, we're for sure going to be doing that. But interest and behaviors, I'm not going to go too much into this because this is something where you can just play around where there's hundreds of different categories and you can get very, very particular. One thing to note is when you're running a cold audience on TikTok ads, you don't want this total number size to go below 1 million because you just don't have a large enough demographic to be able to scale the ad set. And always when you're running TikTok ads, the end goal is to be able to scale it, increase the ad spend, and then bring in way more leads from it. Targeting expansion, never want to turn on. This is the same thing in Facebook ads. These are like all of these automated tactics, very similar to automatic targeting, is you never want to turn those things on. And these ad platforms, I don't know why they do it. They do it just like why they have the simplified mode of the ads, so people can come in and just create ads as easy as possible. But if you just spend an hour, for example, watching this video thoroughly and implementing it, then you don't need to be using any of those automated targeting systems. Daily budget, I would highly suggest starting with either a $50 or $100 daily budget so that you can get good tests of your ad sets and actually know if it's working. I would also run your ad sets after you have everything dialed in and after you have your ad creatives dialed in. I would run them for at least a week to give it a very thorough test before changing anything up. You want to keep at lowest cap. You can run at specific times of the day. This is big for service-based businesses that are only trying to get leads in during business hours for them to call, you will get a significantly less amount of leads. And we found that it will be really wonky with the ads budget being deployed over specific times. So usually I just click all day. We found really good leads come in at 2, 3, 4 a.m. in the morning as well. So that's something to keep in mind. So after we have all of this set up, I'm just gonna put a specific interest in behavior, business services, real estate, home and rentals, just so I can go to the next section. So now we have the campaign set up, which is the overarching umbrella of lead generation. We have the ad set up, which is basically targeting business services, nobody from under 24, and our exact custom settings. And then we're going to create the ad creatives within that ad group that's within that campaign. So I'm going to go through the ad creative section, and there's a few things to keep really attentive to. This section, Spark Ads, is one of the best features of TikTok ads compared to any other platform. This makes it so easy, where if you turn this on, you're able to use an account owned by you or use another authorized account. What will happen is if you just start up your TikTok ads account, this will allow you to connect your TikTok account. So this is connecting your specific TikTok user account. And if you have one for your business or for your personal, I would connect it to here and use it for every single one of your TikTok ads. Because what this does is it goes onto your main feed. So when you create an ad creative, it goes onto your main feed, and all of the views that's accumulating, all of the comments that's accumulating are showing on your main feed. And then people are, when they see the ad creative on their TikTok feed, people are able to directly click to your profile. And then if they like the other organic content that you're creating on your TikTok account, then they can follow you, and it turns into its own retargeting system for absolutely free. So huge one. I'm just going to put test up here. And then this is where you add your ad creative. So you have an option of, once you connect your account for Spark Ads, you can add a TikTok post that you've already created, but I would highly suggest to upload a video specifically. Now TikTok ads are all 9:16 dimensions vertical. And so you have to keep that in mind when your video editor team is creating the ad creative. So we're pretty much at the end of this section. I'm going to finish it off with showing connecting the instant form. Basically, from here, you go from library, or you can create it directly in here. I would always go to the section that we went to beforehand for creating it, because it's just a bit easier than being in this section, and in case your page freezes up. But you're clicking this, confirming it. And so now we have this all set up, and we're down to pretty much the last thing, of which is the ad creative itself, which is actually, funny enough, the most important thing of the entire direct ad system. And so I'm going to go through and break down as fast as possible the winning formula for creating the absolute best ad creatives, because the basis of creating and testing as many ad creatives as possible is whether or not you will win with your direct ad system. And so obviously I want you to win after watching this video, so stay tuned for the next section. All right, now time to talk about ad creatives, how to test ad creatives effectively, the best methods of creating the best ad creatives, specifically for short form content like TikTok and Instagram. So what you want to do when you're creating ads, specifically the videos, is you want to be listing out all of the biggest problems that your target consumer has. And if you're getting really nuanced with the ad sets in terms of the specific interests and demographics that you're targeting, then you want to think about in the ad creatives speaking to that specific demographic that you're going after and their target problems. And so once you've listed out all of the major problems that your specific target client and demographic are facing, then you're wanting to create as many hooks as possible, which are hooks are the first 2 to 5 seconds of the video around those specific problems. And then from each of those hooks that you're building out, we're wanting to create scripts off of it. And so a really good outline of ad creatives is having a killer hook that hooks the person in to watch the rest of it. Then you're going to get value and address the problem, the main problem at hand that the person is facing. And then you want to bring it home with how you propose a solution to that problem, and then a call to action that is very clear and concise and is aligned with the lead generation form of them filling out their information for your team to contact them and for them to book a call to hear more about your specific solution. So that was really fast. So rewatch that if you want to, if you want to hear it back, but that's the outline of it. And the winning formula of ad creatives is testing out as many hooks as possible. Hooks are the biggest part of your ads campaign and plays by far the biggest role of anything that we've gone through. Everything that we went through of connecting Zapier, connecting the ads manager, specifically creating the ads campaign, it can all go out the window if you don't have a proper hook on your video that brings the user in terms of actually watching the ad. Because if they don't watch the ad, then nothing else matters. So spending the majority of the time creating so many different hook variations based off of your problem. And so if you are already a large business right now, you should know your clients' major problems, and I would focus on your clients' three biggest problems. If it's a product-based business, try and focus on the three biggest problems, and then creating hook variations based off of that. And then over a period of time, as you're testing, you'll easily be able to narrow down the problem that is garnering the best results, and then you can just continue to create hook variations based off of that one problem. The whole goal with TikTok ads and ad creatives is to get down to test as many as possible to get down to the messaging that is gaining the best results, which is basically the number one problem that matches your demographic and matches the solution that you provide. And then ideally the best hooks that match that. Another thing with ad creatives to take into account, specifically for the videos, is matching with the TikTok, basically native platform. And so if you go onto TikTok, you'll see a lot of content that looks specifically like TikTok. For example, green screen videos that are edited with CapCut to make it look like it was edited directly on TikTok. Other ones are reaction videos. All of these things, if you get creative, you can easily incorporate. An example is we film green screen videos of us with articles behind us because we're talking about press. And it's a really good visual where when people are scrolling on their feed on TikTok, they can directly see that it doesn't look like an ad. TikTok actually does a really good job with their sponsored and ad content not looking like ads, as long as you don't go out of your way to make it look like an ad. So that's the basis of ad creatives. I could probably create a whole nother video specifically about ad creatives because there's so much to get into, but I want to finish this video off with just a couple tidbits of really good information when you're going on your direct ads journey of how you can improve them. So one thing is the comments section. We talked about turning on and off comments in the TikTok ads group section. But if you decide to turn on comments, you can go directly in to the comments tool on your TikTok ads manager, and you can gamify the comments in a section. If you do Spark ads where you post an ad and it directly goes onto your TikTok page, you can have VAs, or you can at least just have your team going onto your post once it gets published and commenting on that ad positive feedback. And so right when you launch your ad, you could say have 100 comments talking positively about your service or product. And then another thing is gamifying the comment section, where basically when you have people commenting on your TikTok ad, whether it be positive or negative, you could have hundreds of VAs that you hire on Fiverr and Upworks commenting back and forth with those people, making it seem that your product or service is this extremely hot commodity that people are talking heavily about, which will make people want to watch your video more. All of these things are subconscious tactics to be able to get people to watch your video more and think, wow, this post is naturally going viral. Number two with the comment section is, I spoke about this briefly, but you can take comments on your video, and if it's a Spark ad where it's posted on your page, you can reply to that comment and basically reply with a video. And so you can create an organic piece of content from your paid piece of content. And then when people look through the comment section on your TikTok ads, they can see the video reply, click on it, and they can see an organic piece of content that you're not paying for in terms of CPMs. You're not paying for them to view that, but it's a retargeting system basically in and of itself. The last and final thing is with retargeting, because the second most important thing besides the ads creative and the hook of the ad creative specifically is retargeting. If you don't have retargeting set up, then you're basically asking for your ads to fail in the long run, because retargeting is by far the highest ROI advertising of the entire direct ad strategy on any single platform. So I told you about setting up your website pixel, and basically from that point forward of when you set up your pixel, if you set it up properly, it will track every single website visitor that has a TikTok account. So not just people coming in from your TikTok, but also people coming in from other platforms that have a TikTok account. So immediately once you set that pixel up, you want to create a campaign just retargeting those website visitors, and you might create specific content for people who have already seen your website. The next thing is retargeting video engagement. So for example, you can customize this a bit, but once you create your first campaign, you can retarget people who have watched 25% of the ads in a specific campaign. And so this is huge across all platforms, where what we do personally is we set a cadence that if somebody watches 25% of any of our ad creatives, they never stop seeing our content forever. And so we create a perpetual system of as soon as somebody watches 25% of our ads, they will get retargeted forever, which is basically just creating a campaign of 25% video viewers of all of your videos and then retargeting based off of that. So that's the end of this video. It went way longer than I thought. I think after editing, this is probably going to be around 45 minutes. I hope you got value from this, and let me know what you want to see in the future videos. Appreciate it. This is Luke Lynch signing off. Peace.